Hey guys, before we start, a quick shout out to Alpha Dog Nutrition for sponsoring this podcast. Alpha Dog products are now available at dusupply.com, and you can use code ALPHADOG15 at checkout for 15% off and a credit for free shipping to try it yourself. Now let's get you to your podcast.
Welcome to my podcast, where we are going to talk about a lifestyle with dogs and throw in a few life lessons along the way. Whether you're a hound hunter, bird dog enthusiast, running setters, pointers, retrievers, or a flat-out running dog junkie, this podcast is for you. I am your host, Heath Hyatt, a certified law enforcement canine trainer with over 3 decades of personal and professional training and handling experience. It's time for me to pay it forward. So grab your leads, lace up those boots, and come and join me on this lifelong process of teaching, training, and learning. Do you like to be outdoors like I do? If so, unlock the wilderness with onX Maps. It is your ultimate guide to exploring, hunting, and conquering the great outdoors. With detailed maps, real-time tracking, and exclusive access to public and private lands, onX Maps is your key to adventure. Discover the possibilities and never get lost again with onX. So subscribe today using the promo code K920, letter K, number 920, and know where you stand. We are coming to you live from Studio B this morning. And B is because it is overcast, foggy, rainy. And I know that when you listen to this, it will hopefully be sunshiny and nice. But today it is a dreary day. And we got a lot of things to go over. A lot going on. It's been at least 2 weeks since I recorded a What's Up Wednesday, which we all know is our weekly dose of canine training know-how. And today is going to be know-how what to do and what not to do. A lot of do's and don'ts. So this one's going to be pretty interesting. I've made a mistake with my puppies that I'm going to tell you about and how I corrected it, or I'm in the process of correcting it. But there's a lot of other stuff going on here in Southwest Virginia. Man, turkey season's about halfway through. We've got, the fish. It's been really good fishing. It's been super hot. Like, I don't know how it's been throughout the rest of the country, but we've been pushing 90s this past week. And it's the 1st of May. So I'm recording this. Today's May. It's Cinco de Mayo. That's what day I'm recording this, Cinco de Mayo. So it'll be a couple weeks for you guys to hear this. So I hope you enjoy your Cinco de Mayo. But yeah, it's been close to the 90s. Water levels have been really low, extremely low for this time of year. Usually we're at least a half a foot high with the water kind of have that green tint to it. Really good fishing for muskie, but it's been clear and low. And I'm not a big fan of that. It makes things tough. So I have gotten back from Kentucky, and you heard that podcast last week where I was hunting with Jerry. Got to kill a bird in Kentucky, had a good time. So I come home with this in mind that I want to kill one more bird. I'm not greedy. Our tag limit is 3 in Virginia, and I honestly think that it should be 2. We are taking and harvesting more birds than the nature can reproduce. Plus with the predators, coons, coyotes, bobcats, either killing the young birds or the hens while they're nesting. Places that I used to hunt. I used to be able to go into certain places and hear 8, 10 gobblers in every direction. You could sit there in every direction, you'd hear birds, and it's not like that anymore. So I come home with this in mind that I was going to kill one more bird in Virginia, and that was going to be it for me. So the turkeys have been gobbling behind my house really, really good. They're I mean, they have been got every morning when I go out to work, I'm hearing 2 or 3, most time 3 birds. So I decided that I'm not going to lay out of work. I'm hopefully on a Saturday that I can get out and get after one. So I get up super early Friday morning. I heard them in a certain area. So I got up early Saturday morning, trunched up in the woods way before daylight, sit down in the area that I'd been hearing them. And 6:03, I heard a gobbler way off to the east. And I'm like, okay, that bird's, 3, 4, 500 yards, somewhere in there. Because of the ridges, it's hard to tell sometimes, but the bird was way off. So he gobbled several times, and I started working across the ridge tops. So just kind of give you a visual, I was working between the fields and the woods. I was kind of working the wood line around the edge of these fields. And so I got in, I don't know, a couple hundred yards, and it was, I don't know, 7:30-ish. About a 40-minute span went by. The turkey never said a word. So I sit down. I'm just, I'm patient. I called a few times. That's it. I'm the type of turkey hunter that feels like if you call less, more, less is better. So I let them know where I'm at, and then I want them to come find me. So I called a few times. Nothing. Sat there for probably 45 minutes, and he gobbled again, and he was 2 ridges in a holler, 2 ridges over. So I worked my way over to the ridge above where he was at, and I call a few times, and he gobbles. I'm like, okay, knows where I'm at. So I sit down, and about 5 minutes goes by, and boom, like it startled me. I got my GoPro running, like it's on my top of my head. The GoPro's running, and you can see me visually shake when that gun goes off. So I'm on private property. Like I'm on property that nobody's supposed to be in. My neighbor's property. Nobody's supposed to be in there. And somebody shoots this bird out from underneath me. So I hear a bunch of clucking going on right above me, and I hear a turkey going out the top of the ridge above me. Cluck, 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 cluck. And I'm like, okay. So I got up, and I'm trying to make the decision. Do I go confront this person, or do I just stand still and hope not to get shot? Because I don't know if he hit the bird or not. I don't know. So I stand there for a few minutes, and I'm like, the person had to come over the top, or they had to come from the east back towards me. And I know the people that own the land 2 pieces over. I'll just go check with them. So I sit there for a minute or two. I didn't hear nothing. Like after that blast, I didn't hear nothing. And so I eased back down to the fields, and I just come out. And I got to thinking about this on the way out. Hound hunters get a bad rap because, especially in Virginia, you guys have heard us on the podcast talk about, the right to retrieve and trespassing, and people don't want you on your land. I'm not so sure that turkey hunters are as bad. Like I'm on almost 100-acre plot of land, and there's a good 20 acres above me to the top of the mountain. And this piece of property actually goes over the top, probably another 5 acres. Well, yeah, probably another 5 acres. So nobody should have been in there. Like nobody should have been in there. And I had this happen to me 2 years ago. I was actually on National Forest, which everybody can hunt. And I set up on a bird, started calling. I knew where the bird was roosted at. I went to where I knew he was going to fly down. I do a few tree yelps. The bird gobbles a few times. I shut up. I hear the bird fly down. Like I heard him fly down. I'm all right. He's coming this way. And boom, same thing. A guy had parked right behind me, coming in the same road I did, and shortcut. He went down the holler where the bird was roosted and ended up blasting him. And I'm talking within 75 yards. Well, here comes the bird up over the ridge. It's gone. He missed it. So I actually go have an interaction with him. I'm like I holler. I'm like, hey. And I'm like, what's up? You not hear me calling? He goes, yeah, but I thought it was a hen. So that's twice in 2 years that I've had somebody shoot a bird out from underneath me. And I'm not about getting shot. It scares me to death. With turkey hunting, you see the stories all the time, and I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. So don't be that guy. Here's part of the don'ts. Don't be that guy that's slipping over when somebody's working a bird and blasting it out from underneath them. That's just not cool. And it's almost got me to the point where, like, I love to turkey hunt, but I am not about getting shot. So I'm really reconsidering my options here. I'm trying, if I could find a piece of land to lease, or I could 100% keep people out of it. But, with that, you can't do it either. But yeah, so I've had 2 startling moments within the last 2 years turkey hunting, and it's really made me slow down what I'm doing. Like I said, if I can't even go behind my house on private property, like right here, them turkeys have been gobbling every day. And ever since that Saturday, they've shut up. I heard them Thursday morning. I heard 2 birds, but they were way west of the house, and I've been listening for them. If they get back over where I have permission, then I may try for them. I don't know, but I'm definitely a little gun shy, to say the least. So that's been my turkey hunting experience. So then I switched over to maybe I go fishing. It's safer, right? So been fishing a little bit more, and muskies have come out of the spawn. We don't fool with them while they're in the spawn. So muskies have come out of spawn. So I've been throwing for them a little bit. So let's see, that was Monday, Tuesday. Yeah. Anyway, it was Monday. I got off a little early and decided I'm going to put the boat in the river. I called one of my buddies and like, hey man, you want to go fishing? He's like, yeah, sure. He said, what time you going? And I told him it would be about 4:00. He said, all right, it'll be about 4:30 before I can get down there. So I went ahead, gassed the boat up, got down there a little early, launched the boat. I'm like, I'm going to fish down below the ramp. I'm just going to fish down below the ramp waiting on him. So never started my motor, just dropped my trolling motor, got out away from the bank and started fishing down the bank. Well, about 30 minutes in, I raised the fish. So for you non-muskie hunters, hunters, because you're hunting these are apex predators of the water, they will do a lot of follow-ups. Man, they'll get up, they'll follow your bait right into the boat. You can see them, and man, it gets your adrenaline going. It's addicting to me. So I had this fish come in. I saw him coming, so I drove my pole into the water as deep as I could get it. And I'm using a 9-foot pole, so I drove it down in the water, started my figure 8, and I seen the fish kind of float up underneath the boat, but I didn't see where he went. And I done a figure 8 there for, I don't know, 5 or 6 laps of that, and never seen him come out, never seen him turn. I'm like, okay. So I just continue floating down the river, and I decided after I get out of this pocket, because he was in a pocket, whenever I get out of this pocket, I'm gonna troll back up to the outside of that pocket and change baits up, see what I can do. So sure enough, I did. I've trolled back up to the top side of that pocket and I changed baits up. About the third cast, whoosh, hooked him. And anyway, got him in. And guys, if you ever landed a muskie by yourself, we're using the big nets. You're trying to hold the pole in one hand and the big net in the other hand and trying to get the fish, in the net, without getting the lure hung up and the hooks getting tangled up, because then they get off. And so I got him in the net. My heart's beating 100 miles a minute. I'm excited. First fish of the year, and I'm behind. Last year by this time I'd already boated 3. And so first fish of the year. Now I'm filming this, so let's add a caveat to it. I'm GoPro, and I've got my GoPro. I got 2 GoPros on my boat. I'm trying to start doing a little bit more filming so I can, put this stuff out so you guys can actually see what I'm doing, more of who I am and what I do. So I was trying to film this with my GoPros, and this is like the first or second. This is probably the second time I've done it. So I had the GoPro in the front of the boat, which shows the front where I'm fishing, and the GoPro in the back of the boat that shows the overall boat. So I land this fish, get the hooks out, I take a breath, and I get the fish back up. I get him out of the water. So what I do is I get the fish out of the water. I take a quick a little video or picture or whatever. And since I've got the GoPros running, I'm not using my phone, right? So I'm holding this fish up in front of you can see me, I'm holding it up right now. I'm holding this fish up in front of the camera, and I'm kind of like posing with it. And I'm like, yeah, all excited. So put the fish in the water, let him go. I sit down and catch my breath. I get the net back over in the boat, and I go to the GoPro, and I stop the GoPro from recording. I log into my phone to the little app, the quick app. I go to the quick app and replay the video, and it's not there. It's not there. And I'm like, what? So I look at the front camera. The front camera's got me catching the fish, but the back camera I did not have on. So I guess when I've done the voice, I've got it voice activated where you say, GoPro, start recording. I guess that it wasn't loud enough and the back camera didn't pick it up. And you can hear me on the front camera say, you start like, no. Like I was so devastated that I did not get any of that after the initial hookup and me coming to the back of the boat to netting. I didn't get any of that on camera. So I was highly disappointed. Amateur mistake. It will not happen again. I will forevermore make sure that both cameras are running. But yeah, so that was an exciting day. Caught some nice bass that day too. Fished musky fish for a little bit. Then I bass fished when we hit little spots where I always had pretty good luck bass fishing. So yeah, and the muskie ended up getting my thumb pretty good. I was bleeding like a stuck hog. Them teeth are nasty, and I still got a big knot and scar, or well, not a scar, but a place on my thumb where he got me. But that just happens. When you're working with dogs, you're going to get bit. Working with horses, you're going to get kicked. And I guess if you're trying to land muskies, you're going to get teeth in you. So that was that. But I've landed my first muskie this year. Pretty excited. Hopefully, I don't know, I won't be able to get back out this week. This is a long week. But next week, I'm going to take a day or two and try to get back out after it. But anyway, that's what's been going on besides the dogs. Attention hound hunters and outdoor enthusiasts. Are you ready to experience the thrill of fair chase hunting? If so, check out Southern Hound Hunting Magazine. It's your ultimate guide to all forms of hound hunting, starting in the flat woods of southern Georgia and covering vast terrains across the nation. We bring you genuine stories where the chase is exhilarating as the catch, recipes, and the brag pages that follow. These adventures will take you down memory lane. Whether you're a seasoned pro or a newcomer to the sport, if it's hound worthy, we've got you covered. Join us in this heart-pounding world of hound hunting. To subscribe or to buy the latest swag, go to southernhoundhunting.com. You can also follow along on Facebook and Instagram, where the hunt never ends. Get ready for the real fair chase experience when you join the pack here at Southern Hound Hunting Magazine. So now let's get into the dogs. I've bored you guys enough with everything else that I'm doing. So this past weekend, I literally took every dog I own. The number is 14, excluding the 2 police dogs. And they had a rabies clinic over at the neighboring county had one at their dog shelter. So I had to make 2 trips. So I loaded up the puppies and the 2-year-old dog, Sassy and Lady, and all the pups, the B litter. Took them over, got everybody's shots up to date, and that was pretty uneventful. And then I took the older dogs, got everybody's stuff up to, actually 3 years, got their 3-year shots. But I have to have that to go to Canada, so I had to have all my rabies shots up to date, which they were, except the puppies. So anyway, the puppies are good to go now, even though I don't think I'm going to take any to Canada. But yeah, so we've done that. I've been letting the dogs out quite a bit, just here in the yard, letting them run around. And when we're out working on the weekends, I'm letting them out running around for 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And one thing I've noticed, I don't think I've said this on the podcast, but one thing I have noticed is how out of shape they get from January till March. Like, I'm not doing a whole lot. I've coon hunted my young gyp a couple times. The puppies are out every day. They're running around for 30 minutes, an hour, whatever. But the other dogs are not out every day. But letting them out in that heat last weekend, it really kind of shocked me how fast they went and found shade and laid down. So I've got to get on that before Canada. I've got to get them in shape. In fact, I'm going to take a couple dogs out tonight and run them a little bit. So, but I've learned that. But so one of those days that had the dogs out, I'm going to tell you about a mistake that I made, how to correct it, and some observations even from the canine part of this to incorporating it into the hound training. So this is important. So I remember how I told you that Briggs is my problem child, my little blanket back male walker out of Kate. He is the headache of the bunch. Like, he's the headache. He doesn't he doesn't really care about human interaction. Remember, I told you, I can be out in the yard. He'll be right beside. He'll be walking around. He'll be right there within arm's length. But you go reach down and touch him, like, he'll scoot to the side or he'll go to the other side of you. I mean, it's got some coyote instincts to him, right? And remember how I told you that he would go down in a cow field and he wasn't listening to me? So I feel like I set a pretty good foundation, and that he was ready to move into the I've been putting the collars on them quite a bit too, just letting them get used to it, letting them run them around with it. And plus, that way, if they run off, I know where they're at. That's probably the main thing. So a couple weekends ago, we were out in the yard and we was letting everybody out. So I had let him and Bridger out together, and I was ready to put them up. And Bridger, hollered for Bridger. Bridger went straight to his pen, waited on me. Of course, they always get a reward. They always get some type of treat when they go to their pen, and especially if they're standing there waiting on me. And most of them are. And Briggs, he's been pretty consistent with that. So I went to the pen, hollered for him. He come running through the yard, slammed the brakes on about 10 yards out, and just looked at me. Remember, we talked about that 1 to 6 seconds. And he's looking at me, and I'm like, all right, Briggs, come on. Well, he starts moving away, and I'm like, okay, so we're going to start applying some pressure. So I know where my dogs are at. I've already put the collars on them. I already know what levels I'm using. So I'm on 3 low with him. So with 3 low, I'll tell you what behavior I'm getting from him and the other dogs too. Most of my dogs are on 3 low. And this is out of drive too. Okay. This is not chasing a deer when their adrenaline's pumping and they're in prey mode. This is they're not in drive. This is just normal behavior. So when I push the button on 3 low, you'll see them tweak their head a little bit, or they'll sit down on the button or start scratching their collar because they're really not sure what's going on, right? You've all seen that behavior. So I know that when I see that, I'm in a good range there for a non-drive communication. Okay, so we go up and drive. We're gonna change things. So anyway, he starts moving away from me. I start applying a little stem, and he sits down on his butt. He starts scratching his neck, and then he gets up, and I've released it. Okay, I'm not continuing to apply the stem. And he stands there for a second, and I'm like, all right, Briggs, come on. At no point in time did he ever move towards me. So he keeps avoiding me and avoiding me and avoiding me. So I turn the stem up to 3 medium, okay? And when I do this, it's like you shot him out of a rocket. He went through the yard, under the fence, around the top of the hill, and Maddie's standing there looking at me like, Dad, what's going on? I'm like, honey, it's in the fight or flight mode, and he's in flight. He's running. He's trying to outrun this. Now, listen, 3 medium. 3 medium. It's not hot, okay? So I see the behavior. I see what's happening. I completely shut it down. I shut it down immediately. I'm watching him on the tracker. He goes all the way back to the pond, all the way up to the Rob and Chloe's driveway, and he just parks it, just stops. Now, we've all made this mistake. We have turned it up. The dogs outrun it or they just shut down. They lay down and they will not move. We've all done that. If you're using a collar, you've probably made a few mistakes there. And I mean, we all have. And then we get mad because when we have to walk, half a mile into some rough country and get a dog, or a mile into rough country and get a dog because they've laid down, and then we're mad. And we really didn't understand what was actually going on. And sometimes it's better just to make that mile hike in and get your dog and come out than cause more damage. So that's what's going through my head is, all right, I went from 3 low to 3 medium, and you shot him out of a rocket. Now, guys, listen, I thought that my foundation was pretty good. Like I feel like that it's solid and that we were ready to move that point. So I get in the truck, I drive up the road, drive up the driveway. He's standing in the middle of the road, like wide-eyed, like what was that? What was that? And I go get him, and I'm very calm. I'm not mad. I'm not trying to let my emotions overcome me. I'm calm. I go grab him by the collar. I pet him on the head. I walk him down the truck, put him up in the truck, come back down to the house. And I immediately, before I get him out of the truck, I put him on a lead. Okay. And I put him on a lead, and I go back, I take him down to his pen, put him in his pen, and I reward him with some kibble. Right. So that's the end of that day. So then I'm going back and kind of reflecting on like how did we go from this to that? Like bam, bam. And like I said, I shut it down. I don't want to cause any more problems. So the next day, I go right back to my lead line. So I've got a 50-foot check cord that I've made up, and I use it in canine training a lot with the police dogs. So I go right back to the check cord, and I didn't have what I should have done is had a way to keep him from running away, have a block in place that a way that I didn't get that behavior, but I didn't because I thought I was ahead, right? Remember we talked about A, B, C, D, and sometimes you got to go back. Well, I had to go back. So I put a check cord on him the next day, 50-foot check cord. I go to the end of the 50 foot. I stand on it. I'm like, Briggs, come here. And a little bit of stem. And I get that, kind of that erratic behavior at the end of the lead, jumping around. And then all of a sudden he stops, I tap, and then I turn him and bring him to me. Now I'm not applying pressure at this point in time. I'm doing it more with the cord than I am the stem. So went through a couple sessions of that. Maybe I've done it 4 or 5 times, maybe, just to get him turning and coming towards me. And I will continue to do that process. I've done it twice with him, but the don'ts, don't scar your dog. If you see that behavior, you've got to check yourself, right? You've got to say, okay, this is not the behavior that I want. This is not how I'm going to accomplish it. If I keep applying pressure to it, then I'm just going to make it worse and worse and worse. And I'm never going to get my hands on a dog. And this, like I said, this is the dog that don't really care about a lot of human interaction. Like he'll be with you. We're out in the yard. He's with us all the time. But as far as reaching down and like petting on him and, getting buddy, he don't really care. He's more of the I'll do my own thing kind of thing. So anyway, check cord, but here's something that I want to add to that. And I see this in our canine world too. And I know that if the canine guys are doing it, who are trained and who are, using this type of equipment daily, I know us hound guys are doing it too. And when we apply pressure, instead of going up, like instead of going from a 3 to a 4 to a 5 to a 6, what I have seen that works really well is instead of upping my numbers or my high, low, medium, what I have seen work really well is just apply the pressure a little bit longer. So what that means is if I'm on a 3 low, and I should have done this, I should have done it. I jumped up to a medium really quick, and I had no earthly idea that it was going to cause that reaction. But if I'd have stayed on low and just held the button instead of 3 seconds, maybe holding it for 6, that I would have got the behavior that I'd wanted. But I've always had trouble. This dog's always been the one that takes a little extra, that tries your patience, that you're going to work with him a little bit more. And, people say, well, why do you want to do that? Why do you want to do that? Because his natural abilities when it comes to hunting and his drives are off the chart. So if I have to take a little extra time to do a few things, I'm okay with that because I see what the end result can be, and I don't mind doing it. Now he is definitely testing me. I'm telling you, he is definitely testing me. He's the one that you just kind of shake your head, and I've come to the realization now that, like, yeah, okay, this is Briggs. This is what he's going to be, and I don't get upset about it. I don't show a lot of emotions with it. Do I get aggravated with him? Absolutely, but I'm trying not to let my emotions break through the training. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to throw a temper tantrum and be hard handed on him or cause him some adverse effect because my patients aren't where they should be. So, recap that real quick. I thought I was where I should be. I was not. So after I seen the flight behavior, we've all seen that. The dog took off. He literally he ran about a half a mile. And I was not applying pressure at that point in time. Like, when he cleared the fence and the gate, I'd let off of it. And he continued on. So I let off of it. I did what I had to do. I went and got him. The next day I went back to the check cord and started working him. I want him to come towards me when that pressure is applied. And as we go through this training, the pressure, if I want him to move quicker towards me, I'm going to hold the pressure just a little bit longer. And the faster he will come to me once he understands the task. And that was my mistake, is I thought he already understood the task. When Dad hollers, I go to him. They've been doing it. They've been doing it great. I told you that. But he has been a problem over in the field, and he'll stay over 5 or 10 minutes and come back. So anyway, mistake that I made. And something else that I'm seeing too, when you talk about foundation that I've seen with these dogs, I've been loading them up. We've been taking them riding quite a bit. And after the first 2 or 3 times loading them up and taking them on a short ride, I drop the tailgate and they're not as eager to get in the truck. And I'm like, man, we established this, right? Like, I don't want to have to pick them up and put them in. So you know what I did? I started getting a handful of food, and I put the food in the truck. They're bam, bam, bam. They're all in the truck. I mean, they're knocking the back out of the dog box trying to get in it when you put that food in there. So my foundation wasn't as strong as I thought it was. Or I've done something, maybe the riding around is not as fun for them as I thought it was. And I'm taking my time. I'm driving slow. I'm letting them stick their noses out and, work the wind. And speaking of which, man, I'm getting some good strikes out of the box. I know I told you that Bronx struck on a deer. Me and Maddie had him out last weekend, and we was driving through a different area that I haven't been through, and Bronx just started bellowing inside the box, and I'm like, okay, I don't see anything. Well, then a cat come running right across the road right in front of me. So I'm excited about that he's naturally opening in the box on animals, not cows and horses, but we've had deer. Now we've had a cat. So I'm excited to get him started and see what he does. But I had to go back to loading with a little bit of food. And don't be afraid to do that. Just because you have a dog that's doing something doesn't mean that they're going to continue to do it. Maybe they needed a little bit more reinforcement, or maybe, like I said, maybe they weren't as excited about riding around as I am, but they're riding around and coming home. They're not getting to ride around and go chase a bear. Not yet anyway. So I just had to back up a little bit. I had to back up a little bit on the recall. Like, that was a huge, huge aha. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. And I was able to catch myself and do it. And don't blow somebody's turkey off when you're not supposed to be there. That's not cool. So anyway, before we end this up, we got to give a few shout outs to our sponsors. Guys, thanks W. Alpha Dog Nutrition on X. I use it all the time on X. Southern Hound Hunting Magazine and Frontline Optics. And I know you guys I haven't said a lot about Frontline Optics, but I want to tell you real quick about this company and why I'm associated with it. It is, they make sunglasses. And, in law enforcement, like we wear sunglasses all the time and they get knocked off I pull mine up over my head. They get knocked off. They get scratched. They get stepped on. We throw them down in our car, and it can be expensive. Like, the glasses that I was wearing, after replacing 2 or 3 pair of them, like, So anyway, Frontline Optics, they are a company that is made by first responders, and they're made for firefighters and police officers. But I've been wearing them fishing because they're polarized. But one of the things that got me in with this company is they do 5% of every sale goes to kids that have lost their parents in the line of duty. And that was kind of like a heart-wrenching moment for me. And being in the job that I'm in, I said, that's something I can get behind because I see what it does. I see some of the devastation. I see how it affects these families. So anyway, I bought a pair and I really like them. I'm pretty much wearing them daily now. They're a great glasses. They're, like I said, they're light, they're polarized. You can buy them with different color lenses on them. But here you go. If you want to buy a pair of these things, I can get you a discount code. The discount code is going to be code 4. CODE 4, number 4, code 4. That'll give you 15% off on these glasses. And if you want to support something that's really doing something good for the community, this is it. That's why I got behind them. And I really, really like my glasses. In fact, I'm thinking about buying me another pair. Then they're very affordable for what they are, like really affordable. So anyway, that's it for What's Up Wednesday. We will catch you guys next week. See ya.